We also have here user configuration. And we see there is one user or two users in here. By default, the installer code. That's the code that the installer company would use to do use the keypad. And user one, default user is in there for the customer to use. And one thing that's a good thing to do is change the installer code. And the reason we show you how to create a template, standardize on a company-wide installer code, do that in your template. Don't have to remember to do it each time. And to add a user, again, I could change the username. And I can provide them a passcode. Whether you just give them an arbitrary passcode, the user can then change their passcode from the keypad, or they tell you what passcode they want to use. You can put it in here, anywhere from 3 to 6 digits. This would be if wanted this person to have access from the Bosch Security Manager app. You want to change that to yes. User group is where you can control when somebody's passcode works. So you want somebody's passcode to work certain times of the day, certain days of the week. You could assign them to a group and control that. Leaving it at a 0, passcode works all the time. And then here's where, by default, this user was already set up, already has authority level 1 and area 1. Nothing in the other area we created. So if we want to give them that same authority level, level 1, in that other area. And so in this case, level 1 is the highest level of authority. And so now this user has a passcode that have the highest level of authority in both areas. Now we can look at those authority levels in more detail. If I come down here to authority levels, I can see each one. We have first column is authority level 1, level 2, and so on. And so first column, level 1, you see a whole bunch of green E's below it. That means whatever function is listed next to it is enabled for anybody with that authority level. You go down the line, you start to see more yellow dashes. Yellow dash means anybody with that authority level cannot do the function listed next to it. So you have authority levels 1 through 6 that are pre-programmed. You just start to lose authority as you go down the line. Authority level 5 is somebody that can arm and disarm an area, nothing else. They could also have an access credential that could work at whatever doors you select, but other than that, arm, disarm, nothing else. Same thing, level 6. In this case, they could arm an area, couldn't disarm it. And they could also have an access credential, but other than that, just be able to arm an area, couldn't disarm it. Levels 7 through 13 are blank authority levels. You could create, customize however you want to, if you needed to. Level 14 is the one that's set up for a duress user. There's a few things you need to do to set up duress, what we'll talk about, but one of the options, this is the level you would use for a duress user. Now, the only one you cannot change is level 15. That is the authority level that is tied to the installer code, user 0. That's what you can do with the installer code, can't change it. Now, one thing you might consider doing here, if you're going to allow your customer to add users to the system, most likely they're doing that from the keypad. They could be doing it from the Bosch Security Manager app, or they could be doing it from RPS Lite. All those ways, all they see is the authority level name. They don't have the ability to drill in here like we do and see what exactly each authority level does. It could be hard for them to remember. Is level 1 the highest? Is level 14 the highest? They can't remember. So we can consider renaming them here. If level 1 is going to be for our managers, I could rename it that, managers. And that's how it'll show up everywhere else. And regular employees, we just want to give them the ability to arm and disarm an area. And so I could, at level 5, rename that employees. Make sure that nobody accidentally assigns somebody the duress authority level. Make sure we name it duress. So now somebody is adding a new manager to the system. Hopefully they can easily determine they need the manager's authority level in whatever area. We'd also see that reflect on here in RPS. Be easier for the integrator. You'll have to click back and forth, see what level does what. Those names will change here as well. So if I add in another user, provide them a passcode. In this case, it was just a employee that works in the storefront. I can just give him that level 5 in just area 1, and now that person will be able to arm and disarm the storefront area. Area 1 wouldn't have any effect over the stockroom if they don't work back there. And then maybe this user was somebody that spoke Spanish. Maybe they just worked in the stockroom. That's all they were responsible for, arming the stockroom when they left, if they were the last person out, or disarming it with the first person in. So give that user passcode, give them level 5 in area 2. So you can do that 2 different ways, double click and select it in the drop down. You can also type the number, press enter. Now, if this person spoke Spanish, that's the last column on the right, user language. So if I double click on English, I get a pop-up window and I can change it to Spanish. And so now anytime that user goes to the keypad, puts in their passcode, keypad will start to display in Spanish. It's not going to stay in Spanish. Once it goes idle, 10 seconds by default, it'll switch back to English. Yeah, so now this user could put in their passcode 6789 at the keypad, press enter. In this case, it would just arm or disarm area 2, would not affect area 1, and the keypad would display in Spanish. So most commonly, that's what you're doing when you're adding a user to the system, giving them a username, giving them a passcode, and assigning them the appropriate authority level, whatever area, and change the language if necessary. Other options we see here would be for an access credential. We do have a keypad that has a built-in reader where you could arm and disarm the system with an access credential. These panels also have the ability to do access control, so could be assigning them credentials from there. And we also see an option for a wireless key fob. These panels have 2 options for wireless: Innovonics wireless or Radeon wireless. You can only have one. By default, it's set up for Radeon wireless. And so that's why you'll see that option as a editable option. Innovonics is grayed out because at this point it's looking for Radeon. At this point, I have a Radeon receiver connected to my panel. I could, if they had a wireless key fob they're going to use to arm and disarm the system, I could enter that key fob RFID from here. These can also be learned in from the key fob. Now, if we wanted to have a duress code set up, so this could be used in a scenario where somebody, maybe a bad guy, is pointing a gun at you, telling you to disarm the system. Instead, you can put in your duress code, which would disarm the areas that you had authority for. Looks like to the bad guy, that's all you did. But also sends a silent duress alarm out to the monitoring center. They know to dispatch the police. And there's a few different ways to go about that. First of all, under panel-wide parameters, and then miscellaneous. At the top, you have your duress type. This is where, again, if I hit F1, it would tell me the options I have for duress. So if I were to make the duress type a 1, That would make it so each user's duress code is the same thing as the passcode they use to arm and disarm, except last digit of their passcode increased by 1. So if my passcode to arm and disarm is 1234, my duress code is 1235. If I make the duress type a 2, that's the same deal. Each user's duress code, same thing as the passcode they use to arm and disarm, last digit of the passcode increased by 2. In that case, my passcode is 1234. My duress code would be 1236. Last option is a 3. And that's where the method I'll show you, that's where you create a duress user. Give it a passcode that everybody uses if they're under duress. In that case, everybody's got their own code to arm and disarm with, another code that they remember for duress to make it something easy to remember. So I'll make the duress type a 3. Also, back on our area settings, you have a setting here, duress enable. Likely you'd want to enable that for the different areas you had in the system. So I set the duress type to 3, set duress enable to yes for the 2 areas that existed in my system. And then I could user 4, name duress code. And again, could be something easy for them to remember. In this case, I'll do straight down the middle of the keypad. And we talked about that level 14 was the one intended for duress. So I give this user level 14 in both areas. And in that case, only going to work while it's armed. And somebody could put in that code if they're under duress. It would look like it just disarmed both of those areas, but it would also send a silent duress alarm to the monitoring center. If you did one of the other options, obviously wouldn't have to create that user. It's just be these users are going to use, their passcode last digit plus 1 or 2 if they're under duress. In that case, all you have to do, and here is a send duress. Right now we've got somebody with level 1. I want to send duress enabled there, and somebody at level 5. Send duress enabled. So that'd be if you did level duress type 1 or 2, make sure you enable send duress for your users' authority levels. But yeah, that is creating users.